Peace. So let's build on effective communication. Effective communication, especially when you are a hothead, right? When you are quick to get mad, angry, you quick to let your hands do the talking, right? So I know it's a lot of y'all out there that don't have no control, emotional control. And once you feel offended, once you feel challenged, you typically want to solve for the problem with your hands, right? Man, y'all know who y'all are, right? Especially if you from the gang culture. Mostly everything is settled with a degree of physical action, right? And that can fall up under a lot of different scenarios that you solve things with physical action. We also know that physical aggressive action isn't always the proper method to get your point across or to get things done. And that's why I said it's a lack of emotional maturity. Because always solving for an issue with aggression and wanting to fight and violence, that's not always the correct way. Now, I know some of my folks that's looking at this, they would say that power is the only thing. Well, in order to gain power, historically, throughout the world's history, power is only transferred through violence. That's a fact. I'm not going to rebuttal that. Now, we can talk about being nice and going to the table and have a discussion, a diatribe, and walk away with some type of benefits from a discussion. However, in terms of absolute power, we haven't seen it in real time. We haven't seen, the world's leaders come together, really come together and solve things without an act of violence. But that's another whole bill, right? We not there. We talking about the average joker, the average John Doe, Jane Doe. We talking about just regular people able to solve issues without using their fisticuffs. So that's what the bill is about. So if you lack the emotional maturity, when you challenged, when you are questioned, you can't always go to, they can't whoop me, right? That's knuckle dragging, that's Neanderthal. And that is street mentality. Again, if you're from the gang culture, you know damn well that a lot of things are solved like that, right? So you solve, and I won't even say if it's solved, it's a Band-Aid on a cut. It don't clear the cut up, because once you solve something with violence, violence begets violence, and it just continuously perpetuates that wicked ass cycle. So if you're in a job setting or you're going to school and you're talking to somebody that's in authority in that position and they challenge you, and what happens is we don't know how to articulate ourselves effectively, so we want to punch somebody in their mouth, right? That just goes to show the lack of a skill that you have, right? So effective communication is a soft skill. And if you lack the soft skill, then you get the knuckle dragging and you start thinking about, fuck this motherfucker, right? Punch him in their fucking mouth. Fuck they gonna do? Which is probably true, right? You probably can just whoop their ass. But that ain't the solve though, because then you gotta ask yourself, is that what you advocate to your kids, to your little brother, your little sister? And no, you don't advocate that. You don't advocate that. So, right, we're not gonna say, do as I say and not as I do. That's a fucking cop-out. We're not doing no copping out. It's imperative that we learn how to communicate effectively. In the same way that you want to beat your chest and challenge somebody that you feel is challenging you, and you want to take some physical action, you have to reframe that thought and that energy to better yourself with communication. So when we see people on podcasts and they having debates, or even these politicians and they having debates, most of them are able to communicate and don't get all bent out of shape. And we also see people on podcasts get pissed off and throw some water at somebody or punch somebody or do some crazy shit. Clearly they lost their cool. Now I'm not going to say sometimes immediate action of laying hands on a motherfucker is not the action, right? Sometimes, right, we're going to keep it a buck. It all depends, right? Sometimes you got to lay hands. But most occasions, I would say 98% of the time, it isn't a need to take physical action, man. You don't need to put hands on nobody. We have to learn how to communicate. We have to learn how to agree to disagree. We have to learn how to give up an inch. Like, your gangster isn't on trial, bro. Like, if something don't go your way, that don't make you less of a man or less of a woman or somebody treating you like some punk ass bitch. We got to get out of that mind frame to where everything puts us on the defensive and then you have to whoop somebody's ass. It's a couple of things there. The first thing, like I just said previously, we don't advocate that to our loved ones, or the younger generation, our kids, our grandkids, our little sisters, our little brothers, our little cousins. We don't advocate that because we know that's some Neanderthal type shit. So why would you be doing that? Because you can't control yourself, right? Also, consider it a challenge to challenge yourself to be a better communicator. And once you become a better communicator, career-wise and going to work, you will make more money. You will be seen as a leader, taking leadership roles. You don't need to be busting nobody in their mouth, man. Get that crazy ass thought out your head. And plus, it's juvenile. It's juvenile to do that. So when we see people on the internet having road rage and get out the car and do some crazy shit, I don't see people 35 and older condoning that shit, right? Most people be like, man, that was crazy. They should have just kept going and so on and so forth. Younger people, 20, 25 or whatever, they be with the bullshit, right? So you see the age gap. They haven't got there. And don't let somebody get killed or something. It really be like, bro, it damn sure wasn't worth it for getting cut off. That is emotional immaturity. And that one instant will cost you, whether you go to jail or whether you get returned to the essence. So this journey that we on, man, this is a lifelong journey. And sometimes you're going to slip, man. It's cool. We all slip. I'm still in my growth and development in effective communication. If you accustomed to fucking putting hands on people, you got to break up out of it, because that is not the way that you deal with issues and challenges in everyday life, man. You don't do that, especially when you get older. You look like a damn fool. You look like a damn fool being 40 years old, arguing with a cashier at fucking McDonald's. Then you throwing shit at each other. It's funny, it's entertaining, but it's trifling as fuck though, right? That shit don't make no sense, man. And I know we all get caught up in it. I mean, I might get off this video and catch an attitude at the gas station, right? I'm not omitting myself from that shit. I've gotten way better into checking myself, right? Because it's more important things that need to be taken care of than me selling myself out over some dumb shit and letting the people down that need me and depend on me. So this is a quick video to let you know that effective communication is a must. We must all work on effective communication and being able to let shit go. It's not that big of an issue. Nobody put their hands on you. Nobody did nothing crazy. And be more mentally driven, right? Be more strategic with your thoughts and your words and how you moving. And then when your sons, your daughters, your siblings, your relatives that's younger than you, when they see you moving like that, you're going to pass that down, man. And that shit is a superpower. That's them soft skills, being an effective communicator. That's the video, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know that your ass is still on that dumb shit and that you're willing to crash out over some ignorant ass shit. And we gonna build, man, in the comments, man. That's the video. We appreciate y'all. Peace.